Trojan family, what's up, man? USCJ here. It's the top of the morning. Listen, man, USCJ have to do something today that I hadn't done in a while. I had to put a committee on investigation. USCJ, yes, is once again today is on the case simply because I had to go do some research. I had to look at some numbers as it relates to Alex Grinch, the defense, where USC defense stands as it relates to the top 5, because we're ranked number 6. I wanted to see if there's any type of bias, if there's any type of foul activity going on. And based on the numbers, I don't understand where they getting the information from. We're going to go through some of the teams that they play, and if you look at the top 5, you got Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, Ohio State, and you got Clemson. You look at some of these teams they played, the points allowed. We're going to get through that, but I want to show you guys that you as USC fans should be proud of your defensive coordinator, Alex Grinch. He's proven himself to be a top 5. I said it, yes, a top 5 defensive coordinator, and he's established his footing in the Pac-12 already, allowing a team like Oregon State only 14 points. We're going to look at this. He was nominated. I want you guys to check this out. So here's that list I was telling you about. Alex Grinch, he was nominated as the Pac-12 Defensive Coordinator of the Week. And you see he's here with a group. They did it by conference. They nominated a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator. And you see here the ACC offensive coordinator, Brandon Streeter for Clemson. That guy, they exploded against Wake Forest. I watched that game. And then you see here the Big 12 offensive coordinator, Colin Klein. I think he used to play quarterback. I remember watching him play quarterback, I think, for Kansas State, but they went absolutely berserk. They went crazy, ran all over, passed all over Oklahoma. The quarterback had an incredible performance. Rightfully so. He got offensive coordinator of the week. Then you look at the Big Ten, DC, Joe Rossi, Minnesota. I can't remember what team they played, but I think they only allowed 7 points. And, man, they had an incredible performance, and that team was good. I just can't, it's slipping my mind right now. But look here, lo and behold, you got DC Alex Grinch for the University of Southern California, Pac-12, representing the Pac-12 as a defensive coordinator of the week, and rightfully so. Reason why is because you had a team that averaged 43.5 points and only allowed them to have 14 points on the board. That's an incredible defensive performance. Not to mention the guys have their team is leading the nation right now in takeovers. We had another four turnovers, man. So this team is interceptions. They're leading, I believe they lead the nation in interceptions. I mean, Alex Grinch, the scheme he's running right now is kind of benefiting us where we at. We talked about this in the Pac-12. Moving on to the SEC, offensive coordinator Alex Golesh, man, he went crazy against Florida. That Tennessee offensive coordinator had a game plan set up, and they went absolutely berserk against Florida. Moving on to the G5 OC, Mitch Stewart, Middle Tennessee State. They went crazy against Miami. I think they put 40 points against Miami, and it was just a horrible performance by Miami from a defensive perspective. But Middle Tennessee State, rightfully so, that offensive coordinator exploded on them. And I don't know who this last guy, this team, it's G5 DC Shell Wood. I'm not sure if that's Temple or what school that is, but anyway, he got defensive coordinator of the week. And so you see Alex Grinch is in good company for somebody that they said that was a horrible coordinator. All right, so that is your offensive coordinator, Alex Grinch. Man, you guys should be proud of him as a USC fan. You guys should be very happy. This guy has been nominated to have one of the best defensive performance going through week 4. So listen, so let's get through these numbers as it relates to USC. I told you guys USCJ has put the committee, whoever's doing the voting, he has put them under investigation. USCJ's on the case, and we got 5 teams that are ahead of USC. USC is now ranked number 6 in the country, but I wanted to see how in the world are they ranking these teams. Is it based on schedule, strength of schedule? Is it based on points allowed? How is this? What is this based on? And if you look at the points allowed, you're going to find this to be kind of suspect. and see why I'm putting the situation under investigation. So you got the top five. Top five, you're going to have Alabama, Ohio State. I'm not saying them in order, I don't think, but Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson, and Michigan. Let's go through it real quick. Michigan, well, let's go through Alabama. Alabama versus Utah State, they allow 0 points. Alabama versus Texas, 20-19. Alabama versus ULM, Louisiana Monroe, 63-7. Alabama versus Vanderbilt, 55-3. Total points allowed on the year, 29 points for Alabama. Next one is going to be Ohio State versus Wisconsin, 52-21. Ohio State versus Toledo, 77-21. Ohio State versus Notre Dame, 21-10. Ohio State versus Arkansas State, and they're going to be 45-12, and it's going to be 64 points allowed on the year for Ohio State. Going to Georgia, Georgia versus Oregon, 49-3. Georgia versus Samford, not Stanford, Samford, 33-0. Georgia versus Kent State, 39-22. Georgia versus South Carolina, 48-7. And so, and then the next one's going to be Clemson. And I'm sorry, and Georgia, that's going to be 20, I think they got 30 points allowed for the season. Georgia's going to have 32 points allowed for the season. I'm sorry. And so Clemson versus Georgia Tech, 41-10. You're going to have Clemson versus Furman, 35-12. Clemson versus Louisiana Tech, 48-20. Clemson versus Wake Forest, 51-45. And they're going to have 87 points allowed on the season. That's for Clemson. Michigan has, and this is just the top five. Michigan versus Colorado State, 51-7. Michigan versus Hawaii, 56-10. Michigan versus Connecticut, 59-0. Michigan versus Maryland, 34-27. 24 points allowed. And so if you're looking at the top five right now, if you look in order, how many points allowed so far, you're going to have Michigan's going to be number one, Bama's going to be number two, Georgia's going to be number three, and Clemson's going to be number four with 87 points allowed. But because we're out there, right there at number six, I needed to go a little further and see what USC was. USC versus Rice, 66-14. USC versus Stanford, 41-28. USC versus Fresno State, 45-17. USC versus Oregon State, 17-14. 73 points allowed. So you got USC that would essentially be at the number 5 spot right now, right behind Ohio State. We got 73 points allowed. Ohio State has 64 points allowed, and Clemson has 87 points allowed. So where do you determine, how do you factor in that Clemson should be ahead of USC as it relates to, as it relates to the defense? Because if you look at who they played, Georgia Tech, they just had their coach just fired. They're a terrible team. Furman is a Division I AA school. Louisiana Tech, they put 20 points on Clemson. And then Wake Forest, of course, they weren't in the top 25, 51-45. So Clemson clearly doesn't have a better schedule. If you look at Rice just beat Louisiana Lafayette last week. And I seen over the weekend, they lost by a touchdown to Houston, a pretty good Houston team who was in the top 25 last year. Rice lost by 7 points over the weekend. And then we played Stanford, which is a pretty tough team, which is a conference game. And then we played Fresno State, of course. You guys know that they have firepower and beat them. Only allowed 7 points. And then Oregon State, who's a very good team, we only allowed 14 points. So from a defensive perspective, how do you put Clemson ahead of USC? Yeah, absolutely not. You cannot do this. Listen, USCJ has put this situation under investigation, and the court is going to dismiss for the day until we can further complete this investigation. It's still an open investigation. I'm going to tell you why. Because Clemson is suspect in all areas. If you look at some of these teams that they play, these Division I AA schools, and even with Georgia Tech, they seem very shaky. Yes, DJ had a good game the other day, but Clemson as a whole, our DBs will run, our receivers will run all over Clemson DBs. And I'm just going to tell you that right now. They cannot hold them. So listen, you guys hit me in the comment section. You guys tell me what you think. Listen, I need you guys, every time you come on, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Subscribe, it's going to help the algorithms. Share, it's going to help the algorithms as well. So listen, you guys hit me in the comment section. I want to know you guys' opinion as to what you think. Should USC be ranked ahead of Clemson? Let me know in the comment section. Listen, everybody, make sure you get up, get out, make some things happen this morning. Stay blessed, and fight on, fight on, fight on.